Ciao Paolo. Aspetta. Start video. Eccoti qua, Paolo. Ciao caro.
Ciao, come stai? Mi senti?
Sto facendo una birretta io.
Come sta andando?
Bene, bene, sta andando bene. Volevo collegare subito perché così volevo vedere che funziona tutto bene. Come ti avevamo accennato, funziona così. Adesso aspettiamo perché fino all'1:30 arrivano tutti. Iniziamo all'1:30. Durante tu inizi, io ti presento prima, poi dopo io mi metto in mute, in muto, e tu incominci a partire. Fai la scaletta, segui la scaletta che ti avevo mandato e io raccolgo le domande. Tu non ti preoccupare, le domande, io le vedo, le raccolgo e
Ok.
quando è finito tu me lo dici e io poi ti faccio le domande una per una e tu rispondi e poi concludiamo.
Quanto tempo c'ho?
E tu c'hai, guarda, tu comunque sei l'ultimo, quindi dovremmo finire alle 2:15, però sei l'ultimo per il mio gruppo, quindi se sfori va bene lo stesso.
Ah,
Ok?
quindi 2:15,
Mezz'ora,
45,
mezz'ora.
mezz'ora, mezz'ora.
Sì, vabbè,
Credo
sono
mezz'ora.
2:15, sono 45 minuti, sì.
Ha voglia.
Ah, vabbè, ti racconti tutta la vita tua. Come stai tu? Tutto bene?
Ma sì, dai, sì, siamo
Grazie per il
carichi.
video, grazie per il video che è stato Keith is here as well.
Keith,
Keith, the new regional manager for the Southeast.
I know Keith,
My colleague from we
I
share
know
the
Keith.
all done. I'm starting the Facebook live as well. And we can
Beth.
okay. Hashtag LS virtual hashtag live. Oh, okay, so we are live on Facebook and we are here today for our last meeting with Paolo Cantele from Cantine Cantele in Puglia. Thank you, Paolo, to be with us. Thank you for being let us come into your house in Puglia.
Welcome.
Yes. So you will go ahead and start your presentation. I will mute myself and I will collect the questions. At the end of your presentation, I will ask the question for the group, okay?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy. I'm sorry that I missed you at the Vinitaly Fair, but we have to wait 1 year more for the next Vinitaly Fair. Anyway, yeah, my name is Paolo Cantele from the Cantele Winery. The Cantele estate is a third generation owned and run family from Puglia. The story of this winery started after the Second War when my grandparents started to be wine merchant and they recognize the potential of local grapes from the south of Italy and especially from Puglia region. So they decide to, after the war, during the 50s, they moved from the north to the south and the key moment for the story of this winery was when my father, Augusto, wanted to go to one of the most important winemaking school in Italy, in Conegliano Veneto. And so after the degree, my father decided to, in the 1979, my father, my uncle Domenico, and my grandparents decided to create this winery. In the last 15 years, there is the third generation of the family. So it's me, my brother Gianni is the winemaker. I'm in charge of marketing. I'm the brand ambassador and brand manager of the winery. Umberto, my cousin, is in charge of sales. Luisa works in the administration. So it's a family winery that produce now about 125,000 cases per year, and we ship in the United States about 20,000 cases. We work with our own 50 hectares of vineyards, and we work with other about 150 hectares leased or under a long-term contract. So we are located in Puglia. Puglia is the most southern east region of Italy, is the hill of the boot. And especially the Puglia region is quite long. We are located in the last part, in the last 50 miles of Puglia region. These last 50 miles is a peninsula, is the peninsula of Salento. It's a wonderful land. And for many years, people said and thought that it was difficult to produce fine wines in this part of Italy because it's too warm. It's warm, that's right, and that's wonderful, that's perfect for the bunches. But consider that the Salento Peninsula is large, only 30 miles between two seas, the Ionian Sea and the Adriatic Sea. So we have a wonderful climate, temperate climate, an extreme diurnal shift in summer. So we have during the morning 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but during the night we have 60, 61, 62. This extreme diurnal shift in summer is really important because we can keep the right amount of acidity or freshness. The Salento Peninsula is the Puglia region, especially the Salento, is it's important also for the soil. The key word is limestone. The limestone is really important, permits you to have a very rich wine with a rich minerality. Even if the Salento is not so big, it's not so huge, we have different areas for soil. So if you consider the coasts, the part of the coast, the east coast and the west coast, we have calcareous sandy soil. So we have the soil is quite fertile, and we have wine really fresh. We can have a very fresh and mineral wines. So normally for the production of rosé wine, we use Negro Amaro grapes from the coast. The other part, the northern of Salento, is we have a calcareous clay. So we have the vines have a reduced vigor, low yield. So we can have a Negro Amaro perfect to make wines with fruit body wines, great structure, aged potential. And then there is another part in the lower of Salento, is a really rich of is a really fertile. So normally in this part of Salento we have Negro Amaro grapes that are used for easy drink red wines. So our approach to farming, it's really important because it's an integrated farming. So is a method that employs organic techniques to combat pest and vine disease. So we manage the weeds mechanically or manually. We use copper and sulfur to protect the plants, especially versus the downy mildew. We use the sexual confusion to fight the vine moth. We use inhibitory bacterium for the versus the oidium or the mold. And also the sulfites. We use sulfites, but consider that the amount of sulfites that you can find in our wines are definitely lower than the maximum amount allowed by the organic practices. So it's really important for us to have the healthiness is really important for our wines. now, before to talk about the wines, I would just have to say you that the key words of our wines is the freshness. So we don't like to work with overripe grapes. Probably in the past in Puglia, in the market, you could find wines from Puglia very with a lot of alcohol or rustic. We prefer to produce very fresh, to keep a good freshness in all our wines. So normally in the United States, we ship 7 wines. But today I introduce you just 5 wines. So I wanted to select the wines made with the 2 native grapes from Salento, the Primitivo and the Negromaro. So the first 3 wines are made with the Negromaro grapes, all these 3, but in a different way. So this the first one is the rosé wine. It's made with Negromaro, and as I told you, we use a Negromaro that is planted on the Adriatic coast, so Adriatic soil, sandy soil, and we use the Salintina method, so we do a maceration no longer than 12 hours. So we extract from the tanks just the 15% of the juice, and we have this very fresh rosé wine made with the Negromaro. Typical flavors of cherry, strawberry, roses, because the Negromaro is probably for us is the main grape. Consider that we produce now 7 wines made with 100% of Negromaro. I say that to explain you how important is for us the Negromaro grapes. The other 2 Negromaro wines are, the first one probably is our best seller wine, is a Salice Salentino. I have to show you that we changed this year the label. So probably you are finding in the US market this label. So the next one will be this one. So I hope you like it. Anyway, Salice Salentino is one of the most important DOC wine in Puglia, one of the most known. Salice Salentino is a small town in the area of Salento. So you find probably the best and the oldest Negromaro vineyards. To produce a Salice Salentino red wines, by law, you have to use a minimum 75% of Negromaro grapes. And we prefer to use for this wine 100% of Negromaro. This is a Riserva. So Riserva means that you have to age minimum for 2 years in tanks and 6 months in oak. Normally we do an aging in tanks for 2.5 years and 6 months in used barrique. When I say used barrique, I mean barriques used barrique of 4th and 5th passage. The last Negromaro is this one. Even if we produce this wine for 20 years, almost 20 years, is quite brand new for the United States. It's called Teresa Manara. Teresa Manara is the name of our grandmother. So my father and my uncle wanted to dedicate her a couple of wines, a single vineyard Chardonnay and this Negromaro. So the difference respect the Salice Salentino Negromaro is that for Negromaro Salice Salentino, we use trellis system vineyards, not too old. For this wine, we use old vines. When I say old vines, consider an average of 60 years old. The maceration is different. 10 days for the Salice Salentino, 10 days for the Salice Salentino, 15 or 20 days, depends on the vintage of maceration for the Teresa Manara Negromaro. And the aging is different because we do 1 year of aging in barrique, 1/3 new, and the other used for 2 and 3 years. Negromaro is, as I told you, is one of the most important grape, probably the most important grape. If I translate in English, Negro Amaro, I have to say black bitter. But the origin of these words is it's really old, because the word Negro Amaro is composed by two different words, one in Latin and one in Greek. Niger in Latin and Mavros in Greek. Niger Mavros, Negro Amaro. The meaning is the same, it's black, not because the wine is particularly black, but consider that the Puglia region was the center for the Mediterranean trades. And so people could know this kind of wine to different culture, to east during the Byzantine Empire, to west during the Roman Empire. So we consider the Negro Amaro grapes sort of a link for different culture. So we produce also the other grape really known that especially in the United States is quite famous, is the Primitivo. Primitivo, you know, is the same grape of Zinfandel from California. And probably you know the story of this charming wine, because during the 80s, some one American wine expert found a resemblance between the Zinfandel Primitivo with a grape from Croatia called the Plavac Mali. So they wanted to study the DNA of the Plavac Mali, and they found that the Plavac Mali was a spontaneous cross of two different grapes, the Zinfandel Primitivo and another grape called Doabricic. So they wanted to study all the rare grapes from the Dalmatian coast, and finally they found the original Zinfandel, the original Primitivo, called the Zrlienak Castellanski. So we produce Primitivo. We produce Primitivo for many years. And as I told you, we don't work with the overripe grapes, especially for Primitivo. We prefer to have a fresh Primitivo. So we do just consider 10 days of maceration and aged in the barrique for about 6 months. Also for this wine, we do the same aging that we do for the Salice Salentino Riserva. So 6 months in used barrique. So when I say used, I mean fourth and fifth passage. The last wine is this one. Is Amativo. We produce this wine for many years, for 20 years. Normally I used to call this wine Augusto legacy wine. Augusto was my father, and my father was the first winemaker to try to work and blend the two native grapes, Primitivo and Negro Amaro. Is a 60% of Primitivo and 40% Negro Amaro. So normally we use, I told you that we don't like to work with overripe grapes. Only for this wine, we use the last Primitivo and the last Negro Amaro of the season, of the vintage. So normally we pick up the grape of Primitivo in the first days of September and first days of October for the Negro Amaro grapes. Normally, so we have 1 month of difference respect the Primitivo harvest and the Negro Amaro harvest. And after the harvest, we do the blend in tanks, and the final blend goes in barrique for 1 year. For this wine, we use 50% of new barrique and 50% used barrique. If you know this wine, because we sell in the US for many years, for this vintage, this is the 2016, we probably in the US you still have the 15. With the 16, we changed it. We don't use the label anymore. So we printed the Amativo on the glass. So we wrote here the two grapes. This most charming bottle. So 5 wines made with the two native grapes, Primitivo and Negro Amaro. Even if, as I told you, we sell 7 wines in the US, 2 Chardonnay, 1 unoaked Chardonnay, and a single vineyard Chardonnay that we dedicate to our grandmother Teresa Manara is the same of the red grapes. So I hope you.
Yes. So
Marcello,
yes. So thank you for the presentation. We have a few questions for you. So first of all, I just noticed something. I think you also changed the label on the Primitivo, correct? For the
yeah. Yes, exactly. All the label, all the Classica range, we changed the label. So this is a little restyling, no? Because we kept the color, no, of the label, except for the rosé. We wanted to use a white label. Probably it's better for the rosé color.
Yes, thank you. So a question that we received from the group is about how is the climate change in south of Italy affecting your style of the wine? Did you see in the last, did you and your brother Gianni have to change something in the vineyards or in the cellar to adapt to the changing of the weather in South Italy, or it didn't affect you guys where you located?
It's early to say because sometimes I think in some vintage the weather could be a different respect. Sometimes we have could be really cold and during the warm August we have also rain. Sometimes we say that seems that is becoming a tropical weather, but it depends because when we say that, when we think that, the year after is quite normal. So probably in the last years, Gianni, my father started, but Gianni probably is doing an early harvest, early harvest. So we pick up earlier the grapes, especially for Primitivo and Negromaro.
Well, a question that I like always to ask to many producers is if you have to pick only one of your wines, only one, and you have to pick one dish, which one will you pick? Which food you would like to pick? You just have to pick one. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard, but you have to pick one.
Okay, I pick the rosé wine. But just because probably the rosé wine is the most versatile wine that you can pair with food. I love to say, it's not mine, of course, but love to say the sentence, if it grows with it, it goes with it. So normally you can pair with food, with the orecchiette, with pasta dishes like orecchiette and tomato sauce, but we can pair with this wine with a zuppa di pesce, because it's quite common to eat in Salento the pesce soup, una zuppa di pesce, and I know that for Italians is strange to say, but because normally when we eat pizza we drink beer, but we have to learn from the Americans, because in US so many people pair the rosé wine with food, and I learned from you guys to drink rosé wine while I eat pizza, and probably is the perfect food pairing for this wine.
Well, I'm glad that we taught you something. One more questions that I have for you. So obviously, you explained very well, Negramaro is the most important grape for your winery.
Yes.
You make 2 different wines with a Negramaro. But so we are very, we understand the focus and the, you're very a great producer for the area. But Primitivo, can you explain us what difference will you find, or what difference we should find between the Primitivo from your area and the Primitivo that many people are familiar from the Murgia area? Can you find a different style on these 2 Primitivos?
Yes, because probably the Primitivo from Gioia del Colle, for example, from that area, because we have 3 different areas. Now, Primitivo di Manduria, Primitivo from the east coast, the area of Brindisi, and the area of Gioia del Colle. Probably Gioia del Colle is respect the Primitivo di Manduria. The Primitivo are fresh, definitely fresher, and I love those kind of Primitivo. There is a noble vague of producer that are working really well. I don't know so well because I drink those wine. I don't know exactly the kind of soils. Even if in Manduria we have a very great, beautiful, rich red soils. In Gioia del Colle, you probably produce very great Primitivo with great minerality and great freshness.
So one more last question for you. If you have to, let's say that you come to the United States and you have a consumer in a restaurant and ask you, Paolo, I never heard about Negramaro. Can you give me an idea? Can you tell me what would be the closest international varietal to the Negramaro style? Let's say that these people, they're really very, a general consumer, very basic knowledge, so they know just few international grapes.
No, I know, because many people ask me the same question. It's really difficult to answer, because I think that Negramaro is a unique grapes. But if I have to answer, I say that a Cabernet Franc can be closer.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Paolo, for your time. Thank you for presenting your beautiful family wineries and wines today here with us. We really appreciate it. And I just want to thank you, all the people in the group as well, that they're attending today at this meeting with Paolo Cantele. And I hope to see you soon in United States as well as soon as we can.
Me too, really. Thank you, Marcello. Thank you to all the guys that I met in the last months and now became all friends, great friends. So I can't wait to hug all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao Paolo, ci vediamo.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao caro. So guys, don't forget in the group that we have the Nardini Zardetto cocktail competition this afternoon. So I hope to see you there. Ciao.